Aloha, and welcome back to the final opponent preview episode of the 2023 Packers season of the Ohana Packers Edition podcast. I'm Mike, and that's Iowa Joe. And today we're previewing the Chicago Bears as the Packers look to stamp their playoff ticket. Joe, how are you doing tonight?
Well, like I just mentioned, my nose is running like a faucet, and the last time I did that, I had COVID. But I don't think I can get COVID within 2 weeks of each other. So, uh, I just think with everything dry and all that, my nose is screwed up. But other than that, kind of disappointed because this season seemed to fly by, and it sucks that we're already at the end of the regular season. But and we were just talking off air about having to think of what our plans going forward after the season ends are going to be. So, it's one of those things that you knew it was coming, but you hate seeing it, you know, get here.
Yep. It's like you said, it's felt long, but it's also felt quick at the same time. I think that's part of it
That's what
feeling
she
long is
said.
the I'm Japanese. I don't know what you're talking about.
I did not do that. I am not stereotyping anybody. That was all on
I'm
Mike Morrow.
stereotyping my own peoples, but the Packers are almost at the finish line of the regular season. They're 8-8. They face the Bears with just like last year. They've shellacked the Vikings heading into Week 18, and it's a divisional opponent at home in Lambeau. This time it won't be at night. It'll be the afternoon, the later afternoon kickoff, but it is the longtime Chicago Bears who are coming to Lambeau to try and basically spoil the Packers' postseason hopes. I know that they're not necessarily dead in the water if they lose this game, but I think they will know at that point if they can lose the game or not. Which, I mean, if
If
you're going to get in,
Kotnick,
you got to win.
if
Yeah.
Kotnick was right on Lombardi's bar, then they won't necessarily know because I think they're relying on the Seahawks also, and the Seahawks play at the same time as the Packers.
Oh, okay. I remember seeing the scenarios, but I didn't care too much because I was like, just win. If you guys
Yeah,
are serious about
that's
getting
the
in,
easiest way.
yeah. But
I
um,
do have one thing that I want to rant about, and I will get it done as soon as I can. But I'm getting sick and tired of seeing this shit with the networks like NBC and well, not necessarily NBC, but CBS and Fox. I saw the map earlier for coverage, and like everywhere around me is getting the Packers game, and then like one section of my state is getting Kansas City. I don't give a rat's ass about Kansas City. Then you wonder why people want to have to pirate streams just to be able to watch their games. So NFL, CBS, Fox, come up with something that's not going to charge me $600 for 6 months, or not even 6 months, but something to let me watch what game I want to watch when I want to watch it. If I want to watch the Packer game on Sunday at 3:25, I should be able to click my button and watch my game at 3:25, not have to pay a zillion dollars for it, or go to a bar, or uh, pirate a stream, or the voodoo that I've been having to do with VPNs and shit like that. You know, don't be doing that shit. Let me watch the game, not the fucking Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, I'm
who
good.
are resting everyone anyway, so that
Yeah,
makes it
pretty
even
much.
a dumber.
It's a shitty. It's going to be a shitty ass game, and I am stuck watching it instead of my fucking Packers.
In other excitement, the Packers welcome back Jair Alexander from the suspension list earlier this week. No roster move there because they were at 52 players, kind of waiting for that suspension to resolve itself. Jair spoke to the media today, basically said that he was kind of surprised he got suspended, but had some lengthy, productive conversations with both Gutekunst and Lafleur. I assume it was one of those like, hey, we really like you, Jair. We know how good you are, but you can't be doing your own bullshit all the time. And it sounded like Jair heard it loud and clear, and he's ready to make the corrections moving forward. And really, that's all anyone should care is coming out of this thing. And the other side, obviously, is Jair said that he should be good to go for Sunday's game. So we kind of went over it on Sunday's show, or I guess it's Tuesday show, but it was Sunday after the game. But anyone saying that they're ready to move on from Jair and blah, all that kind of stuff, it's like, do you want to win? Well, you need more Jairs on your team. So I'm just glad that he's back, and it sounds like he and the team are putting it in the rear view mirror and they're looking to move ahead and just forge the path ahead together at this point.
Yeah, I've said it before that it it's the type of people that sit there and want to say, "Well, we need more Smash Mouth, we need more flair, we need all this," but when it actually comes onto the team, well, we don't want it. We don't need that around here. So it just it's frustrating in a way. I'm glad Jair is, I think you said it on a tweet that you hope it doesn't take away from how he plays on the field. I don't want him going back to being just a reserve kind of quiet guy. Let him
Yeah,
be that flamboyant type of guy, the smash mouth, because it seemed like he was playing better when that stuff was going on. He
yeah,
was playing good before that, but then as soon as he started running his mouth and everything else, it progressed to where last year we saw him as an all pro.
yeah.
So, I want to see that going forward. And like you said on our last episode, Carrington Valentine's kind of got a little bit of that to him too. It just the big difference is he doesn't have the contract Jair has.
Yep. you know,
So
yeah, like we said, Jair's the first round pick with now the $100 million contract. Carrington is the guy making. I don't think he's even making $1 million a year because he's a seventh round rookie. So
probably it probably breaks down different because of signing bonuses and stuff like
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
But yeah, he's the fresh new thing, and Jair his thing is old because he's hurt and blah and all that kind of crap. So, but like I said, we've reviewed that, we've gone over it on our thoughts, and main thing is we're glad he's back, and it sounds like he's ready to roll. Also, in the positive news, Bo Melton gets his 53-man active roster spot.
Carrington is just under a million for the year. He's at 940,165
yeah,
according to Over the Cap. So,
yeah.
but again, that doesn't include whatever signing bonuses and whatever he had. Uh, I don't know how the seventh round.
Oh
I
no
know
no
they're
no
all.
no no no! His cap number for 2023 is 775. The 940 number is his 2024 cap hit. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
But
but it's still. I rookie contracts are weird anymore because it used to be you just signed them for whatever you could sign them for. That's why you saw those huge ass, multi-million-dollar contracts for
yep,
first round picks. Now it's okay. Well, you
everything's to
get
scale. Yeah,
you get a guaranteed 4-year contract with it's just nitpicking on how much money is fully guaranteed and how much it isn't. So yeah, he's making a million somewhere, but anyway.
but so like we
But
said,
yeah,
Bo Melton.
Melton, well deserved. Great to see him up there. Hopefully he'll, the big thing that we've said all year is stack successes. It started out with one catch, then it ended up like 3 catches and a touchdown, and now we're at 100-yard, games and stuff like that. So let's keep building that up for him. So that's great. And I know people are suspect of the move they made to add Melton to the 53 by putting Toure on IR, but it sounded like he was on crutches, so it sounds like it is a legit injury of
Yeah,
some kind.
yep. So like Joe just said, Toure is the corresponding move. He goes to IR, and in Bo Melton's spot on the practice squad, the Packers signed Tyler Coyle, a safety out of Purdue. He was with the Cowboys at a certain point, pretty good athlete, and excuse me. So they bring a couple more. And they also added cornerback, Virginia cornerback Anthony Johnson, not the safety that is on the 53-man roster back to the
And
practice
this is
squad.
the
So
second time around for this Anthony Johnson.
yeah,
I tried to look for a corresponding move, so they must have had an extra spot open, not counting the Bow Mountain spot, because I didn't see anything else that
yeah,
went with
no,
the
same
Anthony
thing. I
Johnson.
That's why I missed it because yeah, I thought they had a full practice squad after adding Coyle. So yeah, they it must have been when they. Oh, you know what? I don't think they signed anyone when they brought Sap up to the active roster. So
Okay, yeah, that could
yeah,
make
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. So that fills up they're back to 16 on the practice squad. And then at practice today, um, long list, but honestly not surprising given some of the names. So the five did not participate. AJ Dillon, who LaFleur said re-aggravated his thumb a little bit during the game last Sunday. Rudy Ford, Elton Jenkins, not so much a concern because he's had a day off. He's had Wednesdays off the last, I want to say 3 to 4 weeks of the season. So they're kind of giving him sort of the Bach treatment where they kind of let him have a day to get himself right after the game. No surprise on Isaiah McDuffie. He's in concussion protocol. I do not expect him to be ready to play this weekend. And Preston Smith missed today. Honestly, if Preston misses every day of practice this week, as long as he's ready to go on Sunday, they're going to let him play. It's more
Well,
important
and
for him to
Preston
be,
doesn't surprise me either because of
yeah,
how much they had to tape him up pretty good to get him back out on the
yeah.
field. So,
So
but did they say whether what kind of ankle injury it was? Was
I
it just
haven't
a
seen an update on that. So
okay?
I do know he was able to go back in and he didn't look like he was totally in a bog. So I want to say it was, if anything, it was a bad low ankle sprain and not a high ankle sprain. But we'll see, how much whether he's able to practice this week or if he's just scratched this weekend. So by Friday, we'll have a good idea of what kind of, because if he's doubtful, it's probably some kind of high ankle sprain. But on the limited participants, Zane Anderson flies up again. So I guess he still exists. Aaron Jones is on there. Musgrave was listed as a limited. He's still in the designated to return window.
And we
Josh
figured
Pine.
this was his last week that he's eligible to practice without be putting on the roster, right?
Yeah. So basically, so if the team loses, it doesn't matter, obviously. If he doesn't play this week, but the team wins, by Monday, they can still decide to bring him back to the active roster. So
Okay.
I believe Monday would be day 21. So could be back this week or he might miss it. So, but it
If
sounds
he's
like,
back, that's one tough son of a bitch. I don't care
yeah,
what anybody says.
yeah.
I've never had a lacerated kidney. I've never even had a kidney stone, but I just
The thought of it makes me roll over in my sleep. So yeah,
yeah, especially when you consider how he would have had to lacerate. I could understand like a car wreck or somebody actually lacerating your kidney, but to get a lacerated kidney on a football field is really weird to consider. And then considering he went back out and played a few more snaps before they finally took him out, and now it's just been 3 weeks since, and he's practicing again. He's a tough son of a bitch. That's for damn sure. I just hope he's not
big foolhardy with it. Yeah,
right. I was trying to think of a good way to put it. Tough
it's a
but
doctor's
rocks in the
clearance.
head.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you
definitely
know,
a
it,
medical clearance kind of thing. Not obviously there's some conditioning that on the team side there's a conditioning thing, but it's got to be the full med team has to clear him, not just like, oh, it's a hamstring, let's test it before the game kind of thing. So
yeah.
yeah. And then the other big names to note, the three receivers, Jaden Reed, excuse me, Christian Watson, and Dontavion Wicks, all were limited participants. Um, the interesting one is Myers. Myers did leave the game on Sunday early and they listed him with a neck. So I'm guessing it was a stinger of some sort, but it's good that he was out at practice on Wednesday. And then full participants, Jair. The big one is Dre Campbell was back today as a full participant. Um, Darnell Savage. And then the other two guys who are designated to return, Tenuta and Wilson, continue to work their way back. So I know the injury list is long, but honestly, there's way more guys who are. And I know it was a partial walkthrough, but way more guys in the limited and full participant as opposed to the DNPs. And like I said, the DNPs aren't very surprising. So the
And I
Packers,
think Tenuta and Wilson have to be decided before the game
I
because I
think
think
you're right. I want to say they're either Thursday or honestly, they might be. Yeah, we'd have to double check that, but yeah, their day is definitely coming up. So,
and
um,
fingers crossed they bring Wilson back and cut Taylor for that spot. I know I sound like a broken record with this, but Patrick Taylor has got to go. I I
they're
I
serious about making it. I totally agree. Like, yeah,
if 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 I put him right there with Newman just because they keep throwing him out there and he doesn't do anything. Yeah, he has a flash here or there. Newman has a block here or there, but they're not good. So at least Wilson is an unknown. I mean, he flashed during the preseason. He had a couple of decent runs before getting hurt. At least he's an unknown to where, okay, we don't know what he can do. Let's throw him out there.
yep.
Patrick
So,
Taylor, you know what you're going to get out of him, which is nothing. I'm about ready to
just
strap my
just
dog up
improper
in
clock
pads.
management.
I'm going to get my beagle out there. We're going to put some pads on her, and I think she could find open holes better than friggin' Patrick Taylor could.
Dogs are always good at not getting caught, so that sounds like
We're
a good
going Air Bud style on this.
idea. Going from one team that is trying to throw the ball better to one that thinks it's throwing the ball better, the Chicago Bears. The Bears roll into Lambeau, coming off what their fans call successful offense. I say that with an eye roll because everything is relative. They're Bears fans. They don't know what successful offense is in this century.
That's no kidding.
DVOA still has them in the bottom third of the league. They are 20th overall with the 21st offense, 14th defense, and 21st special teams. Bears offense, everyone's saying that Fields is playing better. So the Bears are scoring about 22 points a game, 16th in the league. They're just over 330 yards per game. They're obviously high in the rushing total. They average just over 145 yards per game and second in the league. But they're all the way at 27th at 186 pass yards per game. So let's just put it this way. Everyone, Chicago fans, some mainstream media fans are saying, oh my God, Justin Fields is figuring it out. The light has gone on. His last 5 games, under 60% completion percentage, barely breaking 200 pass yards per game, not a touchdown per game, 8/10 of a touchdown per game, 6/10 of so 0.6 interceptions per game, 2.6 sacks taken per game. No games with 100 passer rating, greater than 100 passer rating. Meanwhile, Jordan Love in that same span, just under 69% passing. Not bad, Jordan. Just a shade under 250 pass yards per game, over 2 touchdowns per game, and just 2/10 of an interception per game. And 4 of those games, he's had 100 passer rating or better. And to further color the Fields' pass yards, of his 1,044 pass yards in the last 5 games, DJ Moore accounts for 39% of those and 2 of the 4 touchdowns he's thrown. So Bears fans will try and tell you that, oh my God, he's so much better. The light has come on and we have our quarterback. The Bears are going to have some big decisions to make. I don't know. I watched parts of that Chicago Atlanta game, and to me, it was a lot of DJ Moore being the superhero that he is. He's somehow got 1,300 yards and 8 receiving touchdowns in this Chicago offense. And I'm honestly, when I saw his stats this week, I was kind of shocked because I was like, I know DJ Moore is really good, but I didn't realize that they threw it at all well enough for him to accrue those stats at this point of the season.
Well, our boys over at Lombardi's Bar put it well tonight on their episode. Jordan Love has done something this year that no Chicago Bears quarterback has ever done. Matter of fact, no Chicago Bear has uh, they have they've never had one on their team. They're the only team in history to not have what Jordan Love's done this season. So they Bears players, Bears organization, Bears fans have no room to talk about a quarterback because they've never seen one. Now, I will give you this, Jim McMahon, love him to death. He was a solid quarterback until injury started taking his toll. Uh, Cutler was Cutler. I think he's been the best quarterback they've had in a long time. Grossman was nothing. I think they had some decent ones clear back in the very starts of the Chicago Bears. What is it, like Bronco Nagurski and you guys like that? But nothing to even eclipse. What is it? They've never had a 4,000-yard passer.
Never had a
They've
30 passing touchdown quarterback. Which
so
some of those really shocked me because I thought Cutler, like you said, I thought Cutler had some, pretty good years in Chicago. But yeah,
yeah. So it just it I want to see who their most prolific. Okay, so Jay Cutler has 23,443 yards for or for the Bears. Their next one is Sid Luckman from 1938 or 1939. And then
like
of
you
course
said,
you got Jim Harbaugh after that
yeah,
and Jim McMahon and then Trubisky and all that, but I yeah, there's no
they basically
the
haven't had competent quarterback. Like you said, it's Luckman, then McMahon, then Harbaugh, and then there was a big gap between Luckman to McMahon. Then McMahon and Harbaugh were kind of back to back, and then from Harbaugh it was to Cutler. Basically, they had so many
well,
retreads and also ran
I
in.
will give you this because I just looked up just season stats, right? So Eric Kramer is the closest.
Yeah,
1995, he went for 3,838 yards and 29 touchdowns, and
that's
that's the
right.
closest they've had to a 4,000-yard thrower, 30 touchdown thrower. Then the next four are Cutler, then Trubisky, and then Grossman, and so on and so on. So yeah, the closest they've had is Eric Kramer. Now, like me, most people are going to be like, "Who?" Because that's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, I know the name and all that because I do have some general NFL knowledge, but that was 1995. I was
That was almost 30 years ago.
yeah, God, how old was I? I was 9 years old. Yeah. So uh, it just no.
Yeah,
They they have no room to talk about anything to do with a quarterback.
and I think what's
And
the really sad thing is that we spent the whole season talking about how rough and incompetent Barry is as defensive coordinator. Fields has never played good against him, and
Fields is 19th this year for 2023. He is 19th on the list of single season passing. That's a good quarterback
but he's such a good runner, and it offsets
because he's
everything.
a glorified running back.
Yeah.
He's not even a quarterback. I would just strap him in as a running back and let him go. Fuck it.
At least the Raiders figured out Terrell Pryor wasn't a quarterback faster than this.
Yeah, that ain't no shit. And they didn't even spend
Oh,
that much of a draft pick on Terrell Pryor
no.
like the friggin' field they did the Bears did for Fields. That's why I really I know I've been joking with this and it's not gonna happen because I don't even remember what the second first round pick the Bears is right now. What is it? It's like sixth or seventh, right?
Yeah, because they've won 5 of their last 7. I forget what their record. This is bad. This is great radio.
And
I forget. I think they have 6 or 7 wins, so I don't even know if they're in the top 10 at this point. Their own pick. obviously the Panthers pick is locked in at number one, but the
Right.
fact that they're even at the point where a lot of their fans and their like media members are even thinking of having the conversation of, do you just take Marvin Harrison first overall and figure it out afterwards kind of thing. I'm just like, you're really gonna pass up on one of these two quarterbacks to
Well, I was gonna say I've been joking all along that they're gonna end up drafting both Caleb Williams and Drake May, just because then they have at least a 50-50 shot that one of them turns out. But I'm gonna be honest, that's the place where quarterbacks go to die.
it
And until they
is.
can get a whole new, get whatever jinx they can out off of the Chicago Bears, I don't see them having a competent quarterback. I mean, they even screwed up Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler
Oh yeah.
was a pretty solid quarterback when he went to Chicago, and they still screwed him up.
It's because they don't know how to build O lines, and they're part of it is Fields doesn't have good pocket awareness, but they've it looks like they might have gotten the Darnell Wright draft pick right on some fronts. He's been playing better recently, but I still don't like the rest of their O line. It's still a tire fire held up by a couple tent posts, and
What's the one that keeps getting hurt? Tevin Jenkins?
yeah,
Is that
I
it?
don't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he was their first round pick a couple years ago, I think, at this point. And then I think their left tackle is Braxton Jones or something like that from Ohio State. Like their
Yeah,
O
that's
line
the big
overall,
body guy. Yeah.
yeah, overall their O line is so like. I mean, I have the same care about learning their names as their general managers have had putting their O lines together, and that show, like you said,
I,
it shows in their quarterback play because
but the thing is that sucks is I liked Braxton and I liked Darnell and I I'm glad they figured out Darnell is a right tackle. I don't care
yeah,
what Darnell said to whatever media guy he said it to. Darnell, you can come at me all you want and whatever, but you were a right tackle. I couldn't see you playing left tackle in the league.
not in this
I
NFL. Yeah,
no. You're a big guy, just stick with what you're trust me, I'm a big guy too. Just stick with what you're good at.
if Panay Sewell can't get on the left tackle spot, you're definitely not getting on the left tackle
That's for
spot.
sure.
Yeah, but big thing for the Packers, basically, don't let Chicago just run it up the field. Which I'm not even going to say it anymore. We're just the same broken record, but that's basically it. Um, make them have to throw the ball because Fields is a walking interception machine. So plug up the run, play big. Don't be afraid of getting beat over the top. You can assign extra coverage to DJ Moore. No
Well,
one
and
else
just let
is
Jair go on
scared you.
DJ.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
let Jair go on DJ. I don't care. Just for once in your life, Joe Barry. Just let Jair go on
He
DJ Moore.
seems to have one game a year where he's like, aha, I guess I can do that. And he hasn't used it so far this year because Jair's either been hurt or suspended in games where you would kind of want him to match up against a specific wide receiver. So, like you said, let him just follow Moore around at this point. And it, obviously, he won't necessarily be in man every play, but just live with it and see what happens. And because
Because really, there's no one else that scares me. I mean, Mooney is Mooney even playing?
I don't know. Like you haven't heard his name called a lot this season. Old friend EQ is an afterthought at this point. Chase Claypool, who they traded away a really good second round pick for, is doing nothing for them at this point.
Well, he's
So,
not even on the team, isn't he?
oh yeah,
I thought
that's right.
he went to
Yeah, they got
Carolina, didn't he?
Miami.
Miami,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean,
And then you got Cole Komet, which I would put Quay on Cole in a heartbeat and just let him feast.
yeah,
But whatever. I mean, we're not calling the defensive plays, but if we can manifest it using the Schwartz or the Force or whatever, Joe Barry put Jair on DJ Moore because I think the other guys can handle the rest of it.
yep. But that's going to be it. Like I said, don't get run over. And on that front, to help get them out of running the ball, the offense is going to have to score. But part of the turnaround for the Bears is that their defense is playing better. Granted, a lot of it is what should be unsustainable turnover numbers, but that is against some pretty wonky and crappy offenses that they faced. Most recent victim being the Atlanta Falcons in the snow, which I turned on that game, saw the weather at kickoff, and I was just like, I think I tweeted it. Yeah, Atlanta's gonna get rolled. Like, you're a Southern Dome team coming to play a game in the winter in the snow. Those hardly ever go well for the road teams.
Except for
So,
when your quarterback is Mike Vick and you're playing
God
the Green
damn
Bay Packers.
it. uh, but as much as it was poo-pooed, honestly, by myself as well, the Montez Sweat trade looks like it's worked out. He's helped to revamp this defense because he has injected the kind of pass rush juice that they expected him to. He leads the team with 6 sacks since he arrived. I believe those 6 would lead the team if he only played for the Bears, but he has 12 and a half on the season now. So he's living up to his extension. The rest of their front seven, I mean, that's the thing, is that Sweat has feasted on a lot of decent to meh O lines, and both obviously Zach Tom has been a stalwart since he's been healthy from the middle of the season, and Rasheed Walker has really upped his game the past month and a half. So if the Packers are able to block up Sweat, I think they're going to be able to protect, because no one else on that front really scares you at this point in time. I know Justin Jones, I think, is second on their team with like
Yeah.
4.5 sacks, but otherwise, no one on there is of much importance as a pass rusher.
Ngakoue,
Uh, yeah,
is he
I,
even
I
on
would.
the team though?
I think he still is, and honestly, if he's on the field, I would just check to a run and run it right at him anytime I see
That's
him
some
on the
kid
field.
shit.
So, um, that's going to be the thing. They are really good against the run. They allow the fewest rushing yards per game at 84 rush yards and 3.7 yards per rush, which is fourth. They are allowing 233 pass yards per game, which is 21st in the league. So obviously the there's going to be a lot of want to throw the ball around on Chicago. Their secondary, like I said, it is playing better. Jalen Johnson, because the pass rush is improved, he looks like the player he was. Chicago fans were touting him to be the first couple seasons of his career, even though the talk that, oh, he's the Devontae answer was always a bunch of BS, because Devontae would always cook his ass whenever they were one-on-one. But he looks like a true CB1 in the league. Rookie Tyreek Stevenson has continued a strong season, but this is where, Green Bay doesn't necessarily have to overdo the run game, but they have to run it enough that their play action game plays off of it well, because Chicago is the kind of team where, like I said, their front four, it's nothing special. Even Sweat, who's having a good year, he's but one man on the front line, and he can't play all the snaps and he can't play all the positions at once. So Green Bay gets those linebackers to commit at all. They're going to have play action set up for them all day. We kind of saw that in the first meeting where it took Love, and Love's a different quarterback than he was in that week 1 game where he still is going to have his moments where he's a little inconsistent. We saw it this past Sunday where he came out a little hot and inaccurate, but he's a much better passer on a down-to-down basis. And LaFleur and Love have really got in sync in terms of the play calling, sequencing. And I just expect that this Packers offense is going to continue to hum like it has. Eberflus runs a much different system than Brian Floyd does. It's not nearly as pressure-based. That was one of the things we kind of talked about. Yeah, or as Flores. There I go again. Thank you. This is why we have 2 hosts. But, that was one of the things that we talked about in our week 1 recap, is that, as Love got more and more comfortable as that game went on, Eberflus did not resort to more pressure. He didn't bring extra rushers on Love at all. He kind of just was like, well, we're just going to have to cover better. And Love just started to pick that defense apart. And that was with a lot of these young receivers in their first game ever. Watson was not playing at all, and Watson did say after practice today that the expectation is he's going to be able to give it a go on Sunday. We'll see. And Dobbs was heavily limited in the week 1 game. So just all of these targets are better integrated. And then, like we said, we don't know about Musgrave, but Tucker Kraft is playing so much better, so much more well integrated into the offense. and even Ben Sims is a potential seam stretching option as well, especially off of play action. So um, I expect a, I don't want to say run heavy because I don't think they're going to run the ball like 30, 40 times, but I'll say run centric where they're going to, LaFleur is going to scheme a lot of this game to come off of the rushing game because he wants to get those linebackers in conflict and attack the middle of the field. That's kind of where I see LaFleur going because um, that's how he beat him up in the first game was, a lot of those dagger routes in the middle of the field. And then obviously the two big plays to Aaron Jones in the passing game. So you'd like to see them be able to reintegrate Jones in the passing game. And I know you've been calling for it, but this would be a Kenyon Drake game where, you want to get all your pass catching running backs in this game because Edmonds and Edwards, they're two good linebackers against the run, but they suck in coverage. You got Edwards, who's not athletic enough. He's instinctive, but if he doesn't get it right in the, if the quarterback has time to have his running back run an option route, he's toast. And that's what we saw in Jones's long touchdown reception in week 1. And Edmonds, half the time, he doesn't know which way he's supposed to run in coverage. So you've got the best of both worlds in why those two linebackers are not great in coverage. And I fully expect LaFleur to, like I said, because the weapons on this offense are so much more well versed in the play calls and Jones is back and healthy, I expect them to attack the middle of the field often and with fervor this Sunday, just to kind of take it to Chicago and just really put them in a bind all Sunday's game.
Yeah, it sounds like all the weapons are going to be there. Maybe Musgrave, maybe not, but everybody should be at least somewhat participant. And you have to believe. I was thinking about this earlier. You have to believe that even though, yeah, you do want to save in case you do get that playoff spot, you're in a play-in game. If you win this game, you're definitely in. So you want everybody on, all hands on deck, everybody playing. Do what you can. If we got to pull you at some time during the game, we'll pull you during the game. But we want everybody out there, except for Patrick Taylor and Royce Newman. But uh, and I don't really care Kenyon Drake one way or the other. It was just always instead of Patrick Taylor. So even if it's okay, we Emmanuel Wilson is ready to go. Good, get him in there. Kenyon Drake, bring him up, and so on and so on. It'll be interesting to see if any of the other wide receivers can't go, if they use a call up on Dubose.
Basically,
Now,
that's their option at this point because they, Touré's on IR, Melton is up at this point, and that's kind of the tricky part with not putting Watson on IR basically. So but it sounds promising on Reed. I didn't see an update on Wicks, and like I said, Watson did tell reporters that he's expecting to be able to go, but
right,
yeah,
the good thing about Reed was they said they took X-rays and they came back negative, so there wasn't anything broken. It just some kind of muscle or tendon or
probably rib
whatever. But
cartilage or something like that too.
yeah, but I'll be honest, I'm not like a big Grant Dubose, truther that, he needs to be starting day one or anything. It makes you wonder if beings that this is the last regular season game, that they're just going to go all out and say, all right, we want everybody we can get.
Yeah.
And,
Honestly, I
go
wouldn't
from
be
there.
surprised if they do call him up, even if all those guys are healthy, just because you don't know. Reed only lasted half a game. Watson is another, especially because it's winter. You don't know how the turf is going to hold up. And, he did get hurt at Lambeau, most recently against the Chiefs. And, even Wicks, I think, left his most recent game early. So, yeah, like, you don't want to run into the case where, obviously, they have Sims, they have, they're going to have Kraft, they're going to have Sims. I guess there's DeGuara. But, they're going to have to keep all their options up. So, there's a decent chance that Dubose is up this week, but that's
And
kind of
right
going to
here.
do it. That's, but nothing too sexy about this one. Like we said, it's going to come down to the trenches. I think Green Bay has a big advantage on their O line against the Bears D line, and I the Packers front is always going to have an advantage until further notice on the Chicago O line because they're just cheeks overall. So just don't let Fields run all over you. And I think he's going to throw you 2 to 3 balls that you've got to just take advantage of. And no real secrets, but that's kind of how it's gone the last few years against Fields and this Bears team. But Joe, for the last time in the regular season, yes or no, what you got today?
Well, actually, you put this one on there, and that's the whole is Watson back? Well, I think we're all figuring, unless there's like some kind of setback by Saturday, that he's most likely playing.
Yeah.
Now, I put this one here because this has been my thing ever since they drafted him. And I've been saying this, that it's not really, he hasn't fully taken over the left tackle spot until it happens. Does Rasheed Walker finally hump somebody on the ground in this game?
Yes, why not? Do it. For 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 the vibes.
Um, but yeah, just the over under stuff. And you even put a couple of these down, so we'll go with them too. Fields rushing yards 50.5 over under.
I'm gonna say over. I think he's gonna get a bunch in garbage time like he did the first game.
I'm gonna go I'm gonna go under. Because with both Devondre and Quay in there, obviously we're kind of guessing here, but it sounds like Dre is gonna play. I'm going to say under just because it seems like the run game is better when both those guys are in there playing downhill. So obviously Quay's been playing some of the best ball he has, all year. And, my boy Lucas got the sack on Fields early, in week 1. So I can see that happening again. So I'm going to go under, but it's like a fluke under. Uh, So the next one you got down here is Packard team sacks at 2.5. I'm going to go over with it just because I think they're
They
I
should
think
have
they're
had
just going
10
to
in week 1.
right, and I think they're going to go balls to the wall with it and just say, all right, well, you think you're this great quarterback and you can throw now, prove it.
Yep. He was taking some dumb sacks late in that game when they were up like 14 or whatever on the Falcons. I forget what the score was at the time. I think they were up like 3 scores at that point. And Fields, they run a play action, which was weird at that point in the game. And he gets strip sacked because he just sits there and has no pocket presence. So yeah, I say over as well.
Yeah. So now the two that I put down is Bo Melton 50.5 yards over under.
Ooh. I'm gonna say under purely because everyone is relatively healthy, it seems.
I'm going to go over, and because everybody seems to be healthy right now, it's going to open Bo Melton up to get the dump offs, to get the stuff, because they're going to concentrate on Watch, they're going to concentrate on Reed, they're going to concentrate on those
Yeah,
guys. So I think it opens up the spot for Bo Melton. And at this point, I'm just kind of rooting for him. It's a
yeah.
it's a good story, So it's a feel good story, and we're hoping the best. So my last one is over under Love 200.5 yards passing.
I'm gonna say over. I think he's gonna cross 250.
I've been saying it all year. I'm hoping for multiple 300 yards games, and this would be the perfect one to do it in. I do have a feeling he's going to take a sack or two, but it is what it is. But I'm going to go over as well.
Well, that's it for over unders, yes, nos. Joe, any last thoughts on this game before we head on out of here?
Not on the game, but just remember that we are doing the Twitter contest. We're still trying to get our Twitter followers up. If you've already followed us, pester your friends to to follow us so we can hit that mark. I think we're like 70 away right now from our first level, which is we'll randomize a name and select somebody to win a signed John Kuhn 8x10. So just remember to keep passing that along, get us up there. We're trying to do better with our social media stuff, but it everything's going on at one time, and the holiday season really kind of took a hit on everything. So, just go ahead and, like I said, follow us. Make sure you're following Ohana_Packers, and as soon as we hit the 230 mark, we'll give away the 8x10.
Yep. So that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you for joining us for this final regular season opponent preview for the Ohana Packers Edition podcast. You can follow us on our Twitter accounts. I'm at Kawano Mike. Joe is at Iowa_Joe86. As he said, the podcast is at Ohana_Packers. You do need to be following that Twitter account to be eligible for the drawing, not one of our individual ones, as that's not helping the us reach the thresholds that we need. And to be eligible, you need to be following the show's Twitter account. Please visit the website ohanapackers.org. You can get all of our streams of every episode along with our blog posts on there. Especially coming up once the season is over, we're going to start doing our draft coverage, prospect previews, things like that. So keep an eye towards that. Please follow the podcast on your favorite podcasting apps. Give us a like and a subscribe if you're enjoying what you're hearing. And even if you're not, please give us positive and or negative comments on the individual episodes. We do appreciate the feedback as we try to produce the content you want to be hearing. Joe, the Packers have their playoff hopes ahead of them on the table. They win and they're in, they're out, or they lose and they have slim chances. But like we said at the top, just win and you're in. But like we said, that's going to do it for us. So we say one last time in the regular season, go Pack, go, and aloha.